Thank you very much, Senator. Senator Niall O'Donnell, you have 7 minutes.
Minister, thank you for being here again today. Sinn Féin supports the bill, broadly speaking, Minister. However, we do have some concerns that we attempted to have addressed in the Dáil and are calling on you, Minister, to hopefully ensure that as this legislation progresses, these fairly modest and I believe doable amendments are seen to. Minister, we support the general objective of the Mediation Bill in promoting mediation as a viable, effective and efficient alternative to court proceedings that can reduce legal costs and speed up the resolution of court proceedings, as colleagues have alluded to already. We note, and Minister, I'm not sure that this even applies to you in your relatively new position, but your predecessor did take on board some concerns that were raised by the opposition at various stages. But it is disappointing that the then Minister didn't go so far as to address the specific concerns we were raising in relation to domestic violence. And I know you touched on that, Minister, in terms of your own contribution, and I have no doubt this will feature as the bill progresses through the House. As Senator Conway referred to, there are notable concerns out there. We note, Minister, that the bill does in fact rule out using mediation where disputes pertaining to the Domestic Violence Acts 1996 to 2011 are concerned. However, there is a new domestic violence bill making its way through the Houses, and this will not cover its scope. Rather than simply excluding proceedings under the Domestic Violence Acts 1996 to 2011 from the scope of the bill, it would be of more use in situations where domestic violence is an issue but may not have been prosecuted. It is simply not appropriate for a solicitor to advise his or her clients to attend mediation in cases of custody or access where there has been domestic violence. Abusers may attempt to bring forward mediation proceedings to prolong matters, and that is one of the key concerns of those who have passed on information to us in regards to this legislation. In a 2010 report on alternative dispute resolutions, the Law Reform Commission stated they were not suitable where they involved proceedings under the Domestic Violence Acts, and it suggested a broad wording to include situations where there are safety issues. That is what we are attempting to reflect in our amendment tabled at report stage in the Dáil. We would also like to see the bill provide that a mediator, prior to commencing mediation, would make inquiries whether there has been domestic abuse in a relationship. This was also advocated by those in the sector dealing with the effects of domestic violence and those who have helped people who have suffered abuse by a spouse or other relative. There is a possibility that victims of abuse could be pushed into mediation settings, which would be wholly inappropriate. These amendments reflect concerns of people who have worked with victims, and the Law Reform Commission has also made suggestions along these lines, and I hope the Minister will accept and reflect them on that basis. Further, in addition to these amendments, we would also like to see training provided for solicitors, barristers and mediators that would give them the skills in how to identify domestic violence and work with abusers and victims. If the Minister will not accept that there should be no scope for mediation in domestic violence cases, then it would be of benefit if he would ensure that there is training at the very least. On another note, Minister, one that is of importance to me, we would also like to see provision being made for mediation services through the Irish language. There are thousands of Irish speakers who would like to use Irish as their language on a daily basis in the courts and in justice matters, but they simply can't because officialdom does not consider it important enough for them to make provision for. I think this needs to be addressed in the next stages of this bill, Minister. It's reminiscent, as you will know all too well, given your previous brief, Minister, of the law that pertains in the North, the Administration of Justice Language Act 1737, a penal law, which is still on the statute books in the North and prohibits the use of Irish in the courts. So by no means should we be allowing anywhere on this island, but in particular on this jurisdiction, the prohibition or the delay or the inability to use the Irish language through the courts. We must also, Minister, look at allowing for recognition and availing of mediation services that are in the 6 counties for the purposes of this bill. Again, this will be come as no surprise to you, Minister. You will understand the nuances of this. There may be people who are geographically located in 26 counties but will find it easier to access mediation across the border, and it is imperative that no block is placed on recognising those mediation processes and no bar is placed in front of northern mediation practitioners from providing a service in this jurisdiction too. I think that is particularly pronounced and nuanced, Minister, given the prospect of Brexit coming down the line as well. So I know you'll appreciate, you might not necessarily agree, but I know you'll appreciate and get the nuances of those issues for people who live along the border, and hopefully this bill can reflect and assist them in enabling the very worthwhile and important mediation services that this bill provides for. So,
Thank you very much, Senator.